I came home from work on a Friday night ready to start my normal NBA season ritual. Drink 12 beers, watch the game and crawl in bed a fat, happy drunk. All that came to a grinding halt when I came home to find our power had gone out. All of our neighbors still had power, so my roommate obviously hadn't paid our power bill. I called my roommate who had left that morning to go on vacation with his family and told him he needed to get this fixed ASAP. I wasn't planned on spending my weekend in a dark apartment with no NBA. Might as well go camping at that point, and I hate camping. An hour after I called him, my roommate called me back saying the bill had been paid, and we would get power back in probably a few hours. At that point I decided I would go to a friend's place, watch the game, and by the time I got back home around midnight the power would be back on. Fast forward and I'm leaving my friend's house. My phone had died an hour or so ago, so my friend called a taxi for me. I got dropped off and the taxi drove away. I looked up at the apartment building, and saw all of the apartments were lit up with electric light. Some burned a bright yellow, some a moody blue from the TVs. My apartment was the lone black window. There was still a chance I had power. I just didn't leave any lights on when I left for work that morning. I opened the apartment door and looked into the pitch blackness of the apartment before me. The closest light switch was about 10 feet from the front door, so I would need to feel along the walls for it in the blackness. The door thudded shut behind me as I felt my way along the walls, leaving me in near total darkness. It was much darker than I expected in the apartment. It didn't help we usually keep the blinds closed to thwart nosy neighbors. I must have missed the light switch, because the first thing I felt in my hands was a door frame. It was my bedroom door. I wandered in, still hugging the wall, and my bedroom door whined a loud creak as I leaned up against it. I hated that door. The slightest touch would cause the door to seemingly scream. I usually had to keep it latched, otherwise it would creak every time the air conditioner turned on or off, and it scared the shit out of me every time. Eventually, I found the light switch. Flick. Nothing. Fuck. No power. I kept the switch turned on so, if the power returned soon I would know immediately. I remembered thinking, camping. This is pretty much camping. I hate camping. I would crawl in bed and hopefully we would have power in the morning. I wanted to brush my teeth first, so I felt along the walls, and found my way into my ensuite bathroom. The bathroom seemed even darker, and more oppressive than the rest of the apartment. Around the corner from any windows, and having no windows itself, the bathroom was essentially a black hole. No light could escape it. My hands grasped around my cluttered bathroom counter finding toothpaste, and, after some time, my toothbrush. I stood in complete darkness, brushing my teeth, wishing for light and listening to the sounds that accompanied living in a crowded apartment complex. I heard footfalls in the apartment above me. I could hear the neighbor couple next door arguing, then I heard the unmistakable creaking of my bedroom door. The first thought I had was that the power was back on. The air conditioner must have turned on, and the air pressure moved the door and made it whine. Then I realized the light in my bedroom hadn't turned on. Someone in the apartment. I suddenly felt exposed in the blackness of the bathroom, like I was being watched. I thought about the stories I heard of pirates wearing eye patches to adjust their eyes to seeing in the dark, to have the advantage in night combat. I hadn't heard the front door open, so if something was in here, it had been in here longer than I had, and probably would have adjusted to the lack of light by now. I swallowed my toothpaste, too afraid to make noise, and I sat crouched in the pitch black of the bathroom, ears straining to pick up any sound coming from my bedroom. I remembered I had a power bank sitting in my nightstand. If I could find that, I could charge my phone, and then I would have a flashlight. After 5 or so minutes of working up my courage, I slowly crept out of the bathroom. It seemed to have gotten even darker in the apartment in the last 10 minutes, and I walked slowly and silently with my hands outstretched, probing the darkness. My hands were at chest height groping in the direction of my bed. I found my lamp and worked down to the nightstand on which it sat. I opened the top drawer and started feeling for the brick-like power bank. Every sound I made, every accidental click of my fingernails hitting the wood of the nightstand felt like I was making myself known to a predator. I felt like I was being hunted. I felt a sitting duck. I found the power bank and the necessary cords and stood up. I didn't want to wait in my bedroom while it charged. I felt too exposed, so I planned to bring the brick and my phone into the bathroom again to wait. I stuffed the electronics in my pockets and started the process again of groping around in the blackness for the bathroom door frame when my hands brushed up against something unfamiliar. Did I get lost in my own bedroom? I reached back out with both hands. My left hand felt the right side of the bathroom door frame. I reached my right hand out to the wall to confirm, and I felt it come down on that unfamiliar thing. My fingers tangled in a mess of a fine stringy material. I grabbed it and realized I was grabbing a full head of hair. Someone was standing in front of me. I didn't even think to scream. I bodied my way past the intruder and into the bathroom. I slammed the door shut behind me, locked it and stood in the blackness. What the fuck? The head I felt was at the height of the light switches. Either a small person standing or a big person couching. Either way, it had probably sat there watching me in silence as I was fumbling around in the nightstand. My heart was pounding out of my chest, and I felt like I was going to vomit. I sat in silence, pressed up against the door listening to the other side. I could hear the neighbors still, but I couldn't hear anything in my bedroom. Then there was a knock at the door. It was a polite knock, as if checking to see if the bathroom was occupied. Then it started to get louder, heavier, more rapid. I thought whoever was on the other side would soon just punch straight through the cheap door. Then, silence. I hated how long it took iPhones to recharge. I need light now. I remembered I kept a candle and matches on top of my toilet, so I felt my way over to the other side of the bathroom and found them. I brought them back over to where I could keeping my back pressed against the door. I sat for a while listening and thinking. I kept thinking about the pirates and I didn't want to lose the progress my eyes had made adjusting to the blackness. Then I heard, from the other side of the bathroom, water dripping. How had it just started dripping? It sounded like it was coming from my bathtub. I was completely overcome with dread. Was something in here with me? How long had they been in here with me? Were they here when I was brushing my teeth? I felt like I was going to be sick. I had to use the candle. I lit the match and caught the wick of the candle. Drip, drip, drip. A dim yellow flame cast light in a few feet in all directions, but my bathroom was long. I still couldn't make out the far end near the toilet and bathtub. I slid the candle along the floor to the middle of the bathroom. In the dim golden light, I could see two dirty feet sticking out from behind the shower curtain. I raised my eyes up and saw a face, also poking out from behind the shower curtain. It was dark, and I couldn't make out many features except the dark eyes reflecting the light of the candle and its huge smile. I don't think it was human. I was flooded with a primal fear. Me and the thing stared at each other. I felt like a chipmunk staring down a lion, each daring one another to make the first move. I slowly stood up, never taking my eye off of the disgusting face that watched me from my shower. I heard a voice from the other side of the door whisper, "What you gonna do?" Drip, drip dot drip. I noticed for the first time it wasn't the bathtub dripping, but saliva from the mouth of this horrid creature in front of me. "What you gonna do?" the voice behind the door asked a little louder. I saw a hand appear from behind the shower curtain. Its fingers each 5 inches long, seemingly sharp at the ends and black with decay. It started to slowly pull back the shower curtain. The voice outside the door was screaming now. The monster behind my shower curtain slowly moved one long, decaying leg towards me. I felt a vibration in my pocket letting me know my phone was charged. Without breaking eye contact with this monster, I reached in my pocket, turned the flashlight on, and pointed it at the thing. It opened its mouth wide, revealing rows of sharpened teeth, and screamed with what sounded like dozens of men's, women's, and children's voices. I broke for it. I ran out of the bathroom, my phone's light illuminating the room enough to see that there wasn't just the person whose hair I had touched, but several people, and they were all smiling. I ran out of the bedroom, feeling hands reaching out to me from the darkness and pulling at my shirt. I reached the door, and flung myself out into the hallway, and ran down the stairs, and into the parking lot. I'm sitting in my car now. About 10 minutes ago I saw my bedroom light turn on. Our power was back. I think I'm still going to wait until morning, before I go back in there. I was renting someone else's house while they were away. I believe the term is a vacation rental here in the US. I never met the owners of the house. I never spoke on the phone with them or emailed them directly. Everything was handled through the online rental company I used. It was a cozy and charming one-story bungalow, with more than enough space for just me while I worked temporarily in the area. I was settling in, beginning to put my stuff in one of the closets, when I noticed it, a stack of folded white sheets in the closet nearest the living room. There was nothing unusual about that. The beds in both bedrooms already had sheets on them, but I was sure those sheets were just extra in case I needed them. However, there was a folded piece of white cardstock on top. It was standing up so that I could see there was writing inside. I immediately believed it could be a note for me. Like something about those sheets, their care, or the care of other things in the bungalow. I opened it up. Inside was the following handwritten note. Plain white sheets with eye holes cut in them are the easiest way to pretend you're a ghost. Go ahead and try it. Already I was thrown off by the note. In addition to the content, the handwriting was strange. It was rough. Even so, I felt certain it wasn't a child's doing. I put the note aside, and I unfolded one of the white bedsheets. It had 2 small holes cut in it close together. I unfolded another. There were 2 small holes in that one also. By the time I had unfolded one more sheet with eye holes cut in it, my hands were shaking. I thought I heard something moving behind me in the house. My heart ran while I stood still. After about 5 minutes of me just standing there listening to the creaks of the house, I searched around. I went through both bedrooms, the bathroom, the kitchen and dining area, and the living room. I checked all of the closets and under the 2 beds. I even stepped out onto the veranda outside and walked around both sides of the house. Then I looked up my rental receipt and found the number of the house's owners. When I tried calling them, no one answered, so I left a message about the sheets in the closet and the state they were in. And I read the note I'd found. Call me back when you get the chance, I said. I was feeling better. I kept telling myself it was probably something one of their kids had done before they'd left, if they had kids. I forced myself to change my mind about how the note had seemed to be written by someone older. About how there had been something almost primal to it. Primal, yet somehow also baroque. Later that day, though, As I was compassing a work-related email in the bedroom that I designated as my workspace, I heard something moving just outside the bedroom window. It sounded too large to be an animal. I did my best to ignore it. But then there was a scraping scratch at the window. For some reason, maybe because of the sheets in the note, I imaged it to be a pair of scissors. Scratching at the window. I pushed myself up from the desk. I started to dial 911, but then I stopped. I didn't want to get the police involved if I was only imaging things, or if it was an animal or a twig. And as for those white sheets in the closet, they were probably nothing to be overly concerned about. I did go outside. I wanted to put my mind at ease. But when I went around the outside to where that bedroom had to be, I found that it did not have a window. How had something been scratching against the bedroom window, if there hadn't been one? More importantly, how had I just been staring right at the blinds and curtains of a bedroom window that, by all appearances from the outside, wasn't there? I was beyond perplexed. I began to wonder if maybe something was wrong with me. Once inside the bungalow again, I went directly to that bedroom, and I stared at the curtains and blinds once more. I moved aside the curtains and raised the blinds. I had been hoping they covered nothing more than a blank wall. That would have still been disconcerting, but not as much as what I actually saw. There was a window. I had just been outside in the full light of day, but beyond the window's glass it was all dark, pitch black. I got pretty frantic. I was about to start trying to call the owners of the house again, if that number was even legit, when I heard 2 knocks. Those knocks had come from somewhere close, somewhere within the room. I turned around, checked under the bed, checked in the room's closet. As I started to close that closet, I heard knocks again. It seemed they were coming from behind the wall. The source of those knocks couldn't have been more than a few feet away from me as I stood at the threshold of the bedroom closet. It was not easy to breathe. I dropped my phone and had to pick it back up. The knocks. Again. There was something else to them. Something I wanted to avoid. They were sharp and scraping at the end, like a fist holding a pair of scissors, or, shining my cell phone into the back of the closet, I glimpsed the outlines of what appeared to be a door behind the shelves. I took the shelves out, which slid away too easily, and damn my not deciding to leave that house then and there. I just had to see. If I went beyond, and found a trapped animal, there would have been no need for me to risk embarrassment by calling for help. The door didn't have a handle, but when I pressed on it, it fell away, and thudded down like a heavy sheet of plywood. Down into the darkness beyond. Dust and dirt floated in the air, and a smell I couldn't quite place. I felt like I was entering some kind of old temple chamber. I shined my cell phone's flashlight app within, finding it be a whole other room. Like a third bedroom. But there were no furnishings. There was nothing in that room, but rubble and possibly rat droppings. Except, in one corner of the room, when I shined my cell phone light over there, I saw a person standing. I guessed it was a person, because something was holding up that plain white sheet with eye holes cut in it. "I'm calling the cops," I said. "Right now." But I knew that, in order to make a call, I would have to momentarily stop using my cell phone as a flashlight. I was peering hard at that shape, trying to tell myself it was just an object, a non-living object behind a plain white sheet with eye holes cut in it, when I noticed 2 bumps at the top of its head. They were pressing outward against the sheets. I'm not sure why, but that made me want to step a little closer. So I did. I shined the light up and down its body. I rested the light on its feet for a moment, which were sticking out. Those feet did not look human. They were cloven like hooves. Remembering the note, and what it had stated about how easy it was to pretend to be a ghost, it also immediately brought to mind something I'd heard from a religious friend of mine once. She had said, the ghosts were impossible, because people's spirits either went to heaven or hell. If there were spirits on earth, they were likeliest demons. And some of them might be pretending to be ghosts for an ulterior motive. I turned and ran. There was movement behind me. I did not look back. However, I made it out to my car. I didn't question it. I just got in, and drove away like a bat out of hell. Somehow, I worked up the courage to go back, and get my things later. I wish I could tell you why I was stupid enough to look up my name in the search bar. Maybe it was dumb curiosity, or the result of boredom, after spending hours mindlessly sifting through channels, but what I found was worse than what I could have ever imagined. It was a live recording of me. Lewis, July 19, 2021, final just chatting 2401, viewers. The camera was outside, in my front yard, pointed straight at my bedroom window. After a moment, the angle changed, and the camera was hooked to the wall outside, looking through the window by my desk. Then the screen cut again, back to the front yard. I felt a sense of dread wash over me. I clicked on the channel for any possible explanation, but instead, it only raised more questions. Videos spanned back months, accumulating hundreds of hours of streams of no one else but me. From the thumbnails, I could make out myself in the window, or outside, oblivious to the thousands of people watching me. I couldn't believe it. I shifted my cursor to the About section. Hello. If you're looking for the address, it can be granted with any amount donation. Thank you for the support as it keeps the stream going. It was then I found the sense to get up and move to my windows, which I covered with blankets. I went to grab my phone from the desk when I saw something shift on my monitor. The recording angle changed again and was now in my room, directed right at me. I looked at the camera and found it mounted to the ceiling, hidden behind a fan blade. The discovery sent me out of my bedroom and downstairs, where I grabbed my keys and took off to my car. There was no way I was staying in my house anymore. My only focus was driving as far away as possible. The realization of being watched is a feeling that isn't easily outmatched, and I couldn't shake the suspicion that whoever was behind the stream was lurking nearby. I figured that I would be able to call authorities when I made it to the next town over. I wish I could say I had. When I made it onto the dirt road escaping my house, the car suddenly sputtered, and the steering wheel started to shake. I was just far enough from my home that I gained the nerve to quickly jump out of my car to find the issue. But instead, I came upon another horrible discovery. My tires were punctured. I knew they couldn't have been this way when I left, so whoever was behind the stream must have placed something along the road to prevent me from leaving. I called the police about 20 minutes ago, but they told me that it will take them a while to come out this far to investigate. If anyone has any advice for me, I could really use it, because I heard some noises coming from down the road. I don't think it's the cops.